Hey guys, I am making two videos today. And I'm making two videos for one reason. I just shared that No Hope for Yesterday is at 18,548 words, which is awesome. Um, but I need to talk about something in No Place Like Tomorrow and No Hope for Yesterday, and will continue to exist in No Cure for Today, which is book 3. Yes, it has a name. Um, I want to talk about this term Parvulus that Valens uses when talking to Eyton. He starts calling Eyton Parvulus in No Place Like Tomorrow. And the first time he calls him that is in chapter 15, which is after he shares his immortality with Eyton. So he shares his immortality, Eyton is safe, they're bonded now, and the first time he ever calls him Parvulus is chapter 15, which is called Small Realizations. And he calls Eyton Parvulus several times throughout the remainder of the book. And it's usually only through their mental bond. It's only when he's talking directly to Eyton through their mental link. He does in chapter 33, in No Place Like Tomorrow, call him Parvulus out loud in front of Cyprin and Jevon and Zephyr. And then in No Hope for Yesterday, he calls Eyton Parvulus out loud in front of Jairus, who is Valens' mate, one of them. I want to talk about this term because I want to put some things to rest before they even become issues in this book. And I want to establish one thing very, very clearly about this term and about the relationship between Eyton and Valens. The Eyton-Valens relationship is not, never has been, never will be romantic. Am I clear? Eyton and Valens are not, will not be, never have been a romantic couple. Parvulus, as a term, when Valens calls Eyton Parvulus, what he is saying, the direct translation, it is a Latin word, it is a real word. The direct translation of this word is little one in Latin, okay, which is obviously an old dead language here, but I don't call it Latin in my book. What this word means, what Valens initially tells Eyton is, yeah, it means little one, and so it's just like a term of endearment, little nickname. The term is actually a whole lot more than that. And what Valens is saying is that Eyton is a piece of his soul. Is not just a missing, the missing piece of his soul. Valens, as you guys know, is part of the True King line. He is therefore very, very important to dragons as a whole, to dragonkin as a whole. There are 3 True King lines. There's the green dragons, which are descendants of Cadmiel. There's the white line, who are descendants of Caraglan, and there's the black line, who are descendants of Kyrene. There are 3 descendants, respectively. Rysand was the green, Alpron was white, and Valens is black. Okay, those are the 3 dragon colors, 3 dragon types that hold the True King line. What's been a little bit lost to translation, and which will come back later in the book, is that the True King line, in order for a True King to be an actually truly effective True King, they need to find Parvulus. Now, dragons have come to a point in their lore, in their background, in their time, where they believe that Parvulus comes from a mate bond. And so many, many dragons never ever find it. They never find Parvulus because they're looking in the wrong place and they don't realize they're looking in the wrong place. When Valens finds Eyton and then calls Eyton Parvulus after they have bonded, after Valens has shared his immortality with Eyton, has claimed Eyton as his, what this essentially does for Valens, and then also for Eyton, is it completes him in a way that no other type of bond ever could. True Kings in the True King line are quite literally missing a piece of themselves from the beginning that can only be found by finding Parvulus. And Parvulus is that other half of a coin. It's that other half of their soul, the other half of who they are. It is a connection that grounds them and ties them more closely into the source of magic. It gives them a broader perspective of the world. It gives them something to live for and die for and fight for. And for a true king to be an effective true king, they need that. They need that other person who is there that means more to them than life itself. And it doesn't come for dragons in the form of a mate. It can't. Because other dragons have their own abilities, their own power, their own magic. They have their own immortality. Parvulus binds a dragon to someone like Eyton, who doesn't have immortality, who, yes, is powerful, but who is vulnerable in ways that dragons are not. And it imposes that vulnerability onto a true king and gives them a better sense of what it means to be something beyond a dragon. It's a concept that a lot of dragons have lost. It's a concept that doesn't get explained until later in the books. It does get explained. It is vaguely understood by dragons, and so when Jairus and Taj find out that Eyton is Parvulus for Valens, they have rather strong reactions to this, because a dragon being bound to a human in that way as Parvulus means that if something happens to Eyton, it will happen to Valens. So if Eyton dies, Valens will die. And it's the other way around as well. So if Valens dies, Eyton will die. It bonds them entirely and completely in a way that cannot ever be undone. And it's something that kind of terrifies dragons in general, so they don't go looking for Parvulus in anybody other than a dragon, because another dragon, if, you're my other half, but we're both dragons, if I die, you're going to be fine. That's not going to be true with Eyton, because Valens' life force is now what is holding Eyton to life. So I just wanted to clarify that, because I feel like as I'm going forward in this book and I'm working out all the kinks on that, and I'm working out Valens' own reaction to that, to finding that, to understanding that he is now bound irrevocably, irreversibly, permanently to a human. And then, of course, his mates have to deal with that because, well, Eyton's the Storm Mage. He put himself, he's in a position of power where he's going to be a target. What happens if something happens to him? Well, if something happens to him, then something's going to happen to Valens, and if we lose Eyton, then we lose Valens, and that's our mate, and we don't want to lose our mate. And Valens is going to have to explain this to Eyton, but he hasn't done it yet. So as I'm working through this, I wanted to establish, because I don't thoroughly establish in book 1, I wanted to put into place, at least where people can see it and access it, very, very clearly, this is not a romantic bond. It is literally two pieces of a soul that are coming together, that are finding each other. It's based on the myth, the Greek myth, if you guys are familiar with this, whereas when Zeus created humans, he created them originally with 2 heads, 4 arms, and 4 legs, and they were complete. And Zeus was afraid of the power of the beings he had created, and so he split them in half and scattered them across the world so they would be doomed to search for the other half of their soul forever. This is what this is based off of, is that these are 2 pieces of a soul that have found each other and make each other complete and more powerful and cannot be without each other once they have found each other. It is not romantic. There is no indication of any sort of closed door scenes ever going to happen between Eyton and Valens, okay? So if y'all are into that, you're going to have to find that type of spice elsewhere. It doesn't exist here. Eyton and Valens are not spicy partners. They are 2 halves of the same soul. Cool? okay? If y'all want a spicy version of two parts of the same soul, or two sides of the same coin, go find Merlin and King Arthur fanfic. Go look up And Like the Cycle of the Year, We Begin Again. I just finished reading that. It's really good. There's where you will find your two sides of the same coin, and they get together, and we love it, because I'm sorry that BBC Merlin failed in that regard. But Like a Cycle of the Year, We Begin Again is the Merlin season 6 that we all needed and craved with our very souls from episode 1, when Arthur says, I can take you apart with one blow, and Merlin says, I can take you apart with less than that. But you're not going to find that in No Place Like Tomorrow, or No Hope for Yesterday, or No Cure for Today. Okay? Go read Like a Cycle of the Year, We Begin Again. If you haven't watched BBC Merlin, watch that first. And then go read Like a Cycle of the Year, We Begin Again, and get your fix on that, and then come back to my books that don't have that. Okay? Cool? Everybody behave. Be good humans. I'll see you guys next time, where there is still gonna be no place like tomorrow.